Now to France, where the anti-terrorist agency has launched an investigation into a series of violent attacks on prisons. Since last Sunday, cars have been torched in prison car parks, and in one facility, 15 bullet holes were discovered in a door. A group calling itself French Prisoners' Rights, or ddpf, has claimed on Telegram to be linked to the attack, saying it was defending human rights in prison. French authorities believe the attacks are in response to recently announced measures to combat drug trafficking. Let's get more from Anne-Elisabeth Moutet, a journalist in Paris. Welcome back to DW, Anne-Elisabeth. Carrying out coordinated attacks against secure state institutions, that's a bold move in anyone's book. What do we know of this group, ddpf, and how seriously are French authorities taking its claim of responsibility?
We don't know that much about that group. It is a new group. We hadn't heard about it before. They used to contact one another through a series of Telegram groups, which have now been closed, and Telegram is helping the police on this. The belief, there have been all sorts of theories, but the belief is that they are indeed drug traffickers, essentially because at last, and I express a feeling of most people at the Ministry of the Interior and the Ministry of Justice, the reign of drug dealers and drug traffickers on a large scale who are in prison may end. I mean, they were running their networks from the prison. They managed to get telephones given to them by various ways, and that was corrupting some guards, but mostly there were different ways of getting them the stuff. They placed orders for food from outside the prison that were delivered by drones, and essentially they were running circles around the prison administration. The use of drugs in France has heightened. If you come to Paris, I can give you the names of lots of places where you will see drug addicts in the street, sort of waiting in ways that you could have seen them in San Francisco in recent years. So it's the gangs telling the police, we can get you, and it's not finished, it's just the beginning.
OK, so this is nothing, as far as we can tell, this is nothing to do with prisoners' human rights. This is all about drug dealers doing what drug dealers do. And part of this, I understand, you say that the French have been cracking down. There is this new law going through Parliament, and there are these plans for this sort of supermax prison where all the evil drug lords will be put in one place.
Yes, it sounds like a sort of comic strip when you describe it that way, but it's very true that Now, what is true is that French prisons are unpleasant places most of the time. They are old, they are crowded, the hygiene is deplorable. You have instances of cells for 2 people that are occupied by 6 people. You have instances of people taking turns to using the showers, and only have shower once a week. I would actually agree on the fact that we have a problem that time after time, governments have tried to build more prisons, and there was a position from the left that says you don't need more prisons, but it was necessary to ensure sort of humane treatment of people who are inside the prisons on the one side, and the other is that most cities do not like prisons built around them. They worry about escapes, they worry about the kind of people who will come visiting the prisoners. So it's a difficult question, and the authorities have been slow at reacting on this. On the other hand, we have French drug dealers, and we've got international gangs, and that is also something that has worried the government. So it's 2 things at the same time.
In a weird way, though, this is oddly good news, because as I understand it, the French authorities have been for years having a series of crackdowns on France's drugs gangs, and if they are pushing back, it sort of sounds like, well, something might be working.
Yes. That's very true, and you can see that now there's sort of annoyance, and I suspect the new detectors of anything that could be like a communication device is something that really annoyed them, because they can't give orders if they don't have the communications devices. And when they talk about human rights, most of the time, when they had visits from their relatives, family, people who were authorized, including some of the lawyers, that's how they got money and telephones, and that's one, and how they spread their orders, and the fact that they object so much because they have been restraining the visits, and they say, but it's a human right to be visited in prison, which it is. On the other hand, if you use this for enabling your trafficking, this is something that has to be sort of decided by a penitentiary commission. It can't go on like that.
OK, so we have this move by Parliament, we have this reaction by the bad guys. How now is the government responding to these attacks? Briefly, if you wouldn't mind.
The government has been, and I think it's a good thing, have been extremely quiet about this. They say this is an attack against the French state, and they don't tell us what they're suspecting. They don't tell us where they're looking into, what they're looking into, and it's entirely probable that they have an inkling of where it's coming from. And they, if they were preparing a sort of general action against this, this is the way they would act. And very often you've got the Home Secretary and the Justice Secretary, when they agree on something, which is not always the case, right. And they talk, they tough, and they don't get results. But this one actually is the one that's a bit encouraging, is how very quiet they've been about it.
Thank you so much for talking us through that. Journalist Anne-Elisabeth Moutet in Paris. Thank you.